And we welcome you to the weekday kickoff here on Hornet Radio. My name is Ryan Osborne, joined by Joseph Pavlenko. We've got Vito and Texas James, as we affectionately call him here on the broadcast, as they are out on the cams. We bring you Fullerton College and Santa Ana, a historical rivalry in Orange County that continues here in 2025. I bring in Joe over to my right, who is behind the controls, the ones and twos as well.
Thank you.
Making sure that you get your broadcast to your homes today. So Fullerton College will be going from left to right. Joe, you look at the last couple of games. You've been here for Fullerton College in each of the last two weekday kickoffs. Things haven't gone the Hornets' way, but last week was a lot more that you can take away in terms of feeling good about yourself afterwards.
Yeah, we were talking about last broadcast. So it was a lot of the Hornets finding themselves, and by the end of the game, a lot of what we were talking about up here in the booth was we think that they maybe figured out who they were or wanted to be as a team, and today's kind of the test to see, do they calcify that identity in stone, or was that just kind of a flash in the pan?
So Fullerton College coming out, their starting lineup will be Steven Martinez in goal as he maintains his spot inside the 18-yard marker. David Suarez with Andrew Areola and Ruben Morales Guerrero, in addition to Kevin Castro and Jacob Ligeti, with Cisco Torres, Brian Polmounter, and Oscar Feria, joined by Ivan Almeida and Michael Espinoza. Those are the 11 for Fullerton College. We'll get to the Santa Ana side in just a little bit. They'll be going from right to left, and they will be in the all-white kits. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit. But we are underway for the moment being as Fullerton College and Santa Ana kick off once again, and they will continue this historic rivalry in Orange County, as has always been the case. You look at Fullerton College and Santa Ana, this is a rivalry that goes back years and years and years. Of course, if you're a gridiron football fan, you're familiar with this rivalry going back over 100 years. It's not quite as much for men's soccer, but nonetheless, it's still over, we'll say about 40-ish or so, dating back to the 80s. This is swung over to the right-hand side, near sideline, popped into the air. The Dons will take it away with Alessandro Torres. Torres kicks it over to his left, and it's left up in the air, drop down. That's a foul, and it will go the way of the Hornets. Excuse me, it's going to go the way of the Dons. So Dons going from right to left. They'll be in the all-white kits, but their shorts are in black with white outline and numerals as well. Intercepted there by Paul Mounter, taken away by the Hornets, swung over for a moment. Going to be taken away by Morales Guerrero. He drops it back to Paul Mounter, who has to swing it away from one. Castillo chasing after it, and it swung all the way back to Orlando Vidhen. Vidhen looking up towards the sideline, goes out, and Fullerton's going to have a throw-in just inside the attacking third. Fullerton into the corner looking for it, swung in by Ligeti. That's going to go as a corner kick. Actually take it away. It ends up being not a corner, but a deep throw in. Now along the end line, it goes out, and it will be a goal kick coming up. So the Dons will take over. You know, we talked about Fullerton College and Santa Ana. These two teams, very storied programs. Santa Ana, a little bit more so if you're looking for national accolades. This is a two-time national championship program. They won a national title in 1999 and in 2004 under two different head coaches, as this one is going to go to Ligeti. Ligeti trying to keep it inside the touchline. He's going to have a 2-on-1. He's still got it. He's looking to his right. He's going to swing it in on goal, and it's going to be there for a save taken by Valentin.
You know, if you're sitting at home, that might be an unfortunate. Didn't want to see the play end that way, but at least up here in the broadcast booth, you know how I am, Ryan. I love seeing them take those shots. It keeps the keeper on their toes, and it helps establish that, yes, you can be a threat. If you're not pulling the trigger and taking those shots, then what does that backline and what does that keeper have to worry about?
Yeah, and I mean, you've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks or so for Fullerton. They've had plenty of opportunities to let the ball fly, just haven't done so. And when Fullerton College actually takes shots, they've had a lot of success, as this one is brought back, taken away by the Hornets once more. Now looking for Castro. This will end up going back to Morales Guerrero. He is dispossessed, and the Dons take it back. Dons looking to swing over towards the left, where it goes to Banuelos. Damian Banuelos now with Castillo. Randy Castillo just trying to float one towards the middle, looking for a teammate. No one was there down the middle, and it will be picked up by the awaiting arms of Steven Martinez.
Float like a hornet. Wait, no, never mind.
I'm sure the cliche is in there somewhere, as this will end up being back to the Hornets. Santa Ana coming into this one at 1-4-2. Their starting lineup with Carlos Valentin in net, in addition to Alessandro Torres and Orlando Virgen. Those guys are going to be joined by Edwin Tirador, in addition to Alan Camacho, Ivan Torres, Fernando Salas, Raul Vasquez as the Hornets take it up. We'll finish that in just a moment. It's a 3-on-2. Here's Ligeti. He's thinking about a shot. He's going to lay it down the middle. This time he leaves it into a crowd, and it is easily taken and popped past the end line for a corner kick. So for Fullerton, that's their first corner of this match. And it will go into the far corner, where it looks like it will be Kevin Castro to catch up to it.
I think the thought there was send it to a Hornet, obviously, but I think he just released that pass a little bit too late, and like you said, he found a crowd at Don's.
Here's Castro, exactly what Joe was saying. That was just kind of towards the middle, towards an area. This one is exactly the same, where it looks like it will be picked up by Valentin, and he will be able to possess it and control things going up the park. So Fullerton's first corner doesn't end up in a chance, but nonetheless, Fullerton has an early corner for the first time in the last 3 matches played. Here's Castro looking for a teammate. That's taken away nicely there by Torres. Alessandro Torres in addition to Ivan Torres. Here's Ivan. He's got it once more, swinging over to his right, off the turn, off Ligeti, and it will go out. So throw-in coming up. Damian Banuelos and Gabino Luna in addition to Randy Castillo. Those are the final 3 in the lineup. Starting things out for the Dons as they get a deep attacking third throw-in coming up in just a moment. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, in addition to Vito and our good friend Texas James here on the broadcast. Hornet Radio bringing you live Fullerton College soccer here constantly on the weekday kickoff. It's our 3rd week in a row that we do have a match here on Hornet Radio. Don't forget, we have a lot more live sports here on Hornet Radio and the FC Athletics YouTube page, cleared away by the Hornets. If you were watching the athletic page for Fullerton College this last weekend, Fullerton College Gridiron Football had themselves a successful day right here at House Scherbeck Field, a 71-12 win for Fullerton College football over top of Orange Coast. It was the most points scored by Fullerton in an Orange Coast matchup in their 2 programs' histories. And then if you also want to take it back to a couple years ago, it's the most points that Fullerton has scored since 2018. So for Fullerton, it was quite the successful afternoon. Dons try and throw this one in quickly from a good 40 yards away from where the official says he wants that toss in taken, which is interesting, Joe, because usually the official says if you want to move back, that's on you, but you can't move forward. In this case, he says, you know what, you've got to move up the park. That'll go, I believe, off the Dons. Nope, I am going to stand corrected, as that will go off of David Suarez and out. Another throw in for Santa Ana.
I mean, everybody has their Gandalf the Grey moment every now and then. They say, you shall not pass.
That's fair. That is very fair. Tossed in. Opportunity here for Santa Ana in the attacking third. Here's Torres. He's going to swing it over to his right. He's got a guy. No offsides yet. Looking for Castillo. Finally cleared away by David Suarez, who's lively on it. Make that Areola with the clear. So again, the all-conference player from last year, and Andrew Areola, who was fantastic for Fullerton, and that back line is able to take possession and take control for Fullerton College.
Well, and going back to what apparently has been the thing that you're harping on me for talking about too much this season is let them fly. Take those shots, right? Hornets have played 9 games. They've had 7 games. I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. 9 goals scored. And they've taken 27 shots on goal. That's 0.5. Well, we'll just say this is baseball terms. Would that be over 500?
That would be over 500, so we'll take that. You know what? I didn't go to school for math, and Joe, any number is going to work for me anyway, so there
I
you
mean,
go.
as long as it's not more than fingers and toes I have, we're good. I can count.
So as long as it's more or less than 6, 7, then we're fine, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, I mean, then there's the one back in. I can go up to 18.
That's fair. You know what? There's a lot more than 18 players on the field right now, so with 22
boy.
taking a look at the ball, it's going to leave its way down towards the Hornets. Foul call coming up against Torres, and it will go back to Fullerton College. Valentin in net is directing traffic and his back line. He split time in goal this season. He had a 9-save effort against San Bernardino Valley. Gave up 3 in that matchup, but nonetheless, you get 9 saves. You see 12 shots on goal and an additional total of 17. That's a lot to have to be able to take care of, but he did so fairly successfully. As this will go over to Cisco. Now Cisco will find someone else. Cisco Torres. Back spinner near side. Deflected away once. Finally cleared. This is going to go all the way back down, and it will be picked up by Martinez. Just inside the box, so he has the opportunity to pick it up if he wants. He does not. And Paul Mounter is going to go to that far side. Fullerton with Torres trying to set up a little triangle here, intercepted by the Dons. Now taken away by Ivan Torres out of Jay Serra. Hornets get it back, try and play a through ball, intercepted nicely and deflected out. Nicely played there by it looked like Alan Camacho. Camacho trying to get back on it once more and make that Fernando Salas. And Salas kicks that one out. So success there for the left back for the Dons and Fernando Salas, and he's able to stop 2 very quick plays for Fullerton College. Throw now coming up for Suarez. Suarez is going to bring it into Ligeti. Ligeti gets that one dispossessed from him by Viethen. Now Viethen sees it back to the Hornets. Suarez, little looper, far side. Fullerton will be offsides if it ends up going to the awaiting foot of Feria. He doesn't touch it, and he's going to lay it back. Now it's going to go to Castro and Paul Mounter. Paul Mounter with Ariola. He's got it once more. Little deflection. Ligeti would have been offsides, is checking where his positioning was, and that's skied out of play.
They're trying to give us the ball in the press box. That made it a ways.
Just a little bit, as we have seen the ball get close here. Fullerton with a 2-on-2 if they hurry. Line down the middle and intercepted nicely. Little back footer there that was taken away, but it looked like Damian Banuelos. Actually make it Gabino Luna. So Luna stops that chance, and for Fullerton College, they've had some possession in the attacking third. If you look at Steven Martinez on the left-hand side of your screen, he is well up for the Hornets, and this is a much more aggressive line and strategy that we have seen from Fullerton in the early going than we've seen in the previous 2 weekday kickoffs. Up into the air, Ariola still with it, trying to track it, spinning. Wants it for a sec, now it's gonna land for the Hornets. Salas gets the cleats up high, but he's going to see this one turn back over to his goalkeeper in Valentin. Valentin with a 2.06 goals against, a save percentage of .692.
I thought you weren't a numbers guy.
I'm a numbers guy when I write it down, and I can read it and just kind of repeat that which I have already written. This is going to be a booking very quickly and very easily. This will go against Alessandro Torres. Torres isn't happy about it, and he's protesting to the official. But it is, in fact, a booking, and in the 12th minute, that will go against Santa Ana.
Now, we don't have our resident old guy here with us today, Ryan, but he has been covering, it seems like you say there's a soccer game in the OEC, and he just materializes to call the game at this point. But he's been saying from the OEC soccer that he's been seeing, the refs haven't really been reaching into their pocket. But now that we've got some of the season underway, is this the refs tightening their belts, or is this just an example of I can't let that one go?
I think it's more of that. It's that they can't let something like that go because there was heavy contact and the ball was not also the primary source of that contact, and it wasn't where the initial play ends up happening. So you can't let something like that go, because then it will only go down from there. You get a little retaliation from one side, then the other side says, hey, that's not fair. They try and even it back up, and then all of a sudden you've got a game or a match that is well out of hand. So in this case, that is exactly why he calls it. Ball down the right side of the park. It's going to end up going out, so Fullerton will have a toss in. Giving chase there was Oscar Feria. Ball up there for Suarez. Now for Ligeti. Ligeti trying to turn. Can't keep it in for a second. Salas is there, and he can't keep it in near the touchline.
See, it's another name instead of weekday kickoff. Could have been Touchline Tuesdays, Mr. Osborne.
But then that just implies that the ball's going out of bounds, and nobody's thrilled by an out-of-bounds play. And
Throw-in Tuesdays?
that's just throwing the ball in. That doesn't really initiate offense. We need offense. We need a start. A kickoff is exactly what we need.
Well, some would argue anytime a player touches the ball and sends it, they're kicking off the ball.
No. Here's a goal kick, not a kickoff, but a goal kick.
And he kicks the ball off.
Oh boy, this is a Tuesday. Popped up into the air. It goes over to Castro. Castro with it for a second. And it's going to pop back to the back line with Wiedhen. Wiedhen, the center back in this system for the Dons, will swing it off to that far side to Tirador. Tirador out of Catella High School. A lot of the guys on this Dons program, as this will end up being a foul against Fullerton. And that's what it looks like. The Dons aren't really thrilled about it, because they're saying, hey, if it is a foul against Fullerton, why wouldn't you let us play with the advantage? They did have possession going to that right side of the park.
You know, we had a great conversation about why a card might be pulled out of a pocket, or why a flag's put in the air last year with Ari, and Ari was saying equals equal, and you and I were talking about on the air about if advantage stays in your team's momentum and somebody goes down because of a foul, why stop the momentum?
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. When you look at the advantage, you look at possession. Normally what an official is going to do is they're going to say, all right, if the play is to the advantage of the team that is fouled, they will let the run of play take place. And then once the initial chance happens, if it's in the immediate, they'll blow it down. Up into the air, near side post. Nicely done there by Brandon Acevedo. So Acevedo, we'll see this one go towards the right side. Fullerton with it for a second. Heavy contact, but no call there. Ariola's going to pick it up. And he'll end up lining it towards that left side, looking for Ligeti. Ligeti is going to be in a foot race. He can't catch up to it. He's going one-on-one against Alan Camacho, and Camacho will get a deep throw in his own defending end. Official talking to Coach Kenny Castellanos and saying, hey, this is where he felt that the contact was made, why there was no foul call on that last play. Lots of communication from this Fullerton sideline, and that is one thing that the coaching staff really prides themselves on, is this one is going to be picked up by the Hornets. Inside the box, trying to swing it towards the middle, over towards Ligeti. Can't get it over to him by Feria, and Feria will see this go back to the Dons. So the Hornets had possession on that far side, just inside the 18-yard box, but they couldn't successfully complete the pass. That would have led to a chance.
Yeah, it was a fair amount of jockeying for position, let's say, inside of the box. And the Hornets, I'm going to go back to saying, had an unlucky break. Like Mark was saying last week, I think some of this is skill. A lot of this is skill, obviously, but some of it's luck. Sometimes, like Mark was saying last week, you need that ball to take that favorable hop for your team to end up exactly where you were meaning for it to go. Or sometimes not meaning for it to go, because then it even surprises the keeper.
That's something that we saw 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly, where it was just a little miscommunication between the back line of Fullerton as this one's taken away by Castillo. Castillo, heavy contact with Castro, or make it Torres. Castillo still with it, trying to move to his left foot, looking for the inside lane. Little liner that goes in on net, and it is a save credited to Martinez. Clearing attempt there by the Hornets, gets deflected out, and it will be a throw-in for Fullerton College. And the biggest thing there is Martinez staying alive and not over-committing to the pass. So throw-in taking place for Fullerton on this near side. Don't forget, everyone, if you are a Fullerton College student trying to have success while you are here at college, the biggest thing that we can say is make sure that you end up visiting the Student Success Center for Fullerton College. They are all about making sure that the student here at Fullerton, not just student athletes, not just for ourselves, but the student at Fullerton, whether you're new, whether you're returning for the first time in years and just trying to go out and get that degree or accreditation, just trying to take some college classes, they are focused on making sure you have the best opportunity to set yourself up and also be assisted looking towards success. So student success here at Fullerton College, all about making sure that new students, older students, current students, and past students are having the best opportunity at success. Under 25 to play here at Fullerton College and Hal Scherbeck Field. Andrew Ariola will pick it up. He's on this right-hand side. No score between these two historic rivals. As the Dons look to take it away, they do have it with Ivan Torres. Nice job by Torres to get around 4 different guys, and finally he is fouled. And that is going to be against Kevin Castro.
I was going to say, do you think with these being a rival of Fullerton College, not just on the football field, but on the gridiron football as well, do you think this might be one of the chippier games we're going to see this season?
I think it should be. That's usually the way that it sets up between these two programs. Fullerton College, I mean, you look at this season so far, they have had their host of yellow cards to this point. If I remember correctly, coming into this one, they were already in the 20s, and I think it's actually 22 to be exact. On the other side, 12, or make it 14 in total for Santa Ana, which is actually on the lower end of the Orange Empire Conference. But as we have seen in recent years, and then also what would be reflected by the coaching staffs, is that they will constantly say the OEC, when it is interconference play, gets very contact-driven and it gets very physical. You have to be able to command things in the physicality sense, in that category, if you want to actually have success in this conference. So I think to what you're talking about, Joe, is this is a little looper that goes on the right-hand side, intercepted by Fullerton College. Morales-Guerrero trying to off-balance catch up to it, but it is taken away by Santa Ana. I think it will turn into something that both teams are going to try to establish the dominance in physicality, as you see here. Little body check there as both teams fight for the ball, and it looks like it was Acevedo and also Fernando Salas going up against one another. Now, I don't think it's going to reach the levels of Fullerton and IVC that we've seen the last 3 years. However, it will be a heavily contested matchup. Backspun, far side, back with the Dons, cleared away off a shin pad and finally out. Nice control, Feria can't catch up to it. Goes now to Salas. Salas looking for a teammate. They play ping pong, back and forth they go. Feria with it for a second. Now checked up. Nice job by Castillo. He's able to find Torres. Torres back to Castillo. Castillo playing on the right side. Freshly into this matchup is Kevin Munoz. Munoz able to take it away for a moment. The Dons still have it. Here's a chance. A shot! Steven Martinez makes the save. So you see the offense on that far side of the park there, Joe. It just kind of manufactured itself very quickly. It's just two passes strung together and a lucky bounce, and it finds its way onto the foot of Raul Vasquez. And Vasquez with the first shot on for Santa Ana.
Speaking of manufacturing, I know this Friday is Manufacturing Day. Fullerton College normally does have, with the Tech and Engineering Department, I'll say celebration. Some sort of event happens on campus, but this week, or not this week, this year, it will be on the following week, the Friday after what is actually Manufacturing Day. We're doing it a week late, fashionably late.
October 10th.
It'll be the 10th instead of the 3rd.
See, fashionably late is good because you are still fashionable. That's the thing. Nobody ever says unfashionably late or just disarrayedly late. They say fashionably late.
Well, I mean, it helps to be fashionably late when you have a fashion department as well as we do here at Fullerton College as well.
That's true.
Make sure we're fashionably late.
And a cosmetology program that can help you make sure that you are fashionably late. So as we continue with our inception moment, this is going to swing over towards the right. That's intercepted nicely by the Dons. Salas has had a lot to work against in the first half or so. And this will have to be tossed back in by Fullerton on the near side of the park. Couple of substitutions in for Fullerton, and it looks like Josias Palacios has entered the game for the Hornets, in addition to Greg Glowacki. They'll also be joined by Jacob Cortez as well. So Cortez brings a lot of speed. Glowacki and Palacios very possession and physicality dominant. So this is going to give Fullerton a very different look when they go on to the attacking side of things.
So you're saying Fullerton just put their version of the Bash Brothers on the field?
Just a little bit. Glowacki watching things on the near side. Intercepted nicely by the Hornets, now with Castro. Make it Cortez. Jacob Cortez, the 5'7" midfielder out of Fountain Valley, played for the Hornets last year and got some decent playing time as well and meaningful minutes. Playing in a few Orange Empire Conference matchups as well. And you look at Coach Greg Avila's staff and Kenny Castellanos, one of the things that they will always continue to mention is the fact that they want to make sure that everyone has a chance to play meaningful minutes. It does not matter whether or not you are, a guy who's not slated to, quote, start all the time. You see very different lineups. I believe we've only seen one lineup repeat itself in the last 2.5 years. And for Fullerton, that's kind of where their sense of pride is they make sure that everyone has a chance to play, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense to people in the stands, because they say, wait, shouldn't you have your normal starting 11 and then you rotate in 6 or 7 guys because that's what everyone is used to? No, the way that things work here at Fullerton College is normally you'll have about 22, 24 guys who routinely get a lot of playing time, as Glowacki is going to catch up to this before it gets to the touchline. Turns it over and it goes to the Dons. Dons trying to control with Kevin Munoz. And that one goes out. Fullerton will control. And Joe, you've seen it quite a lot. We've had to see Fullerton College decide to go to quite a bit of different lineups just to make sure that when the timing is appropriate or when they will need it, as Fullerton's going to get called for a foul here.
Yeah, well, and when you have the depth that Greg brings in recruiting, it's pain on my end as a broadcaster because it's 40-something names that I need to learn every season, which I know if you're talking about the other football, it's small bit, whatever. I'm talking about the real football. You're fielding 11 men, and your roster is 40, 50 people deep. But that's what allows him to have the non-repeating rosters. That's what allows him to lean on those 20-something young men, those student athletes, and give them all meaningful minutes. So it's part of the ethos of his program, as well as some of the other, do we say, quirks that he has? And I don't mean quirks in a bad way, but, to get playing time, to be on the team. He also demands a level of academic excellence from his players.
He does indeed, and that's another thing that they harp on continuously, and you always hear the word harp on in a negative sense, derogatory sense, but it is a term that we've heard a lot from this coaching staff. They harp on their players to make sure that they take care of themselves outside of the pitch lines. So not just Hal Scherbeck Field, but also practice fields, also going across Southern California, Northern California, as we've seen earlier this season. But they make sure that their student athletes take care of themselves outside of game days, outside of what their usual routine is to go out and play matches. Because, and this is a statement that they've made to us in the past, the primary reason why student athletes are here is to make sure that they are getting a secondary education and continuing to develop as men. Now, the athletic side is going to take care of itself. This is a shot that will go in on goal. It will actually be registered as a shot and a save. So Martinez gets his third of this match. But going back to what this program keeps talking about with their student athletes, as Palacios pops this one into the air, Glowacki is trying to chase after it. He's getting angled away by 2 and finally picked up by Valentin. But they always say it's about the student part of student athlete first, which of course makes Mark Pavlovich very happy because he loves that phrase, student part of student athlete. But they say if you're not coming to Fullerton College to make sure that you can get yourself a degree and get yourself a transfer to a 4-year university, whether it be in the NAIA, Division III, Division II, or Division I, then what is the point of coming to Fullerton College? Because they want to make sure that they have the opportunities for these student athletes to go on and get their degrees, to be set up for a great opportunity going outside of playing soccer, playing football. So that's always what they will stress to their student athletes first. You look at Fullerton College, they have one of the largest rosters in the state of California, and yet they're still able to maintain that throughout the entire program. Swung over towards the left, looking down the middle. Munoz trying to catch up to it, finally picked up by Martinez and taken away. Martinez drops this one, floats it up into the air. Glowacki trying to get a touch on it in control. Can't do so. Taken away by Banuelos. Banuelos along the touchline. Swung over to, looks like Acevedo and Glowacki. Glowacki stops for a second, looking for someone else. Now with Acevedo. Turnover by the Hornets. And it goes back to the Dons. Santa Ana so far this season on the road, 0-3-0. They have yet to win a game away from Santa Ana College. They have 17 goals to their credit, 19 against. But they have put on quite a few shots per game. They're averaging just about 7 or so. And a shot on goal percentage of .646, which is something that they really are going to enjoy later on in Orange Empire Conference play. Of course, this being the opening match of OEC play. But one thing that is continuously going to be a proof of success when you're going into conference play across California is how well you're able to get shots on goal. Sure, it may be great that you take shots. You get 15 a game, you get 16 a game, but if only 3 of those are on goal, it's kind of pointless. Under 13:45 to play. And Joe, we were talking about it a little earlier. Cosmetology program here at Fullerton College is one of the best in the state of California. And if you're looking to complete your certifications, there's a 1,600-hour program that you can complete in just about a year or so. There's also a 1.5-year opportunity and a 2-year opportunity for anyone who is looking to get into the cosmetology game. And remember, if you're thinking to yourself, well, that's just makeup, right? No, it can be hair, it can be makeup, it can be making sure that costuming looks correctly in terms of how your makeup matches up with your costuming. How do you start off with different dyes, different styles? They teach you all of that over at the cosmetology program here at Fullerton College. Here's a chance for the Hornets on the right-hand side. They go to Glowacki. Glowacki in on the chase, inside the box. He's going to go to his left foot, floats it up into the air for Cortez. Another opportunity for Palacios. The save is made. Carlos Valentin is able to get his second save of the match, and he does so very well. Fullerton with an attack on this right-hand side that nearly ends up working out for them. Opportunity for the Dons now to get a counterattack going. Dons are coming off of a 2-2 draw against LA City. That ended up being on the 26th. And then if you take it one game back, they had a very successful day against San Diego Mesa, where they got their first win of the season, a 5-1 win over top of San Diego Mesa at home in a match where 6 different players had points. Now within once more. Here go the Dons. Foul against Fullerton. It looks like it will end up being a card against Fullerton as well. Antonio Villafana will end up being carded. So 11:30 on the clock, left in the first half of play. So if my math is correctly, you carry the 1, you subtract 2, divide by 3. That should be the 35th minute.
Close enough, give or
34th.
take.
34th. 33rd? Man, I'm way off. See? Again, I did not go to school for math. In fact, I avoided it at all costs, and now it's coming back to bite me. High floater, near side, off the back of 1. Here's a turning shot, and it's on goal, but a save will be made by Martinez. It's his 4th of the match. So my broadcast partner, Joseph Pavlenko, saying, hey, maybe you should have spent less time playing Pokemon and more time actually using a calculator. You would have come away with the 33rd minute, and that's where the yellow card is handed out. No score, Fullerton College and the Dons. You're going to hear from James and Vito at the half, joined by myself, as we give you a little bit more of an update on what took place with Fullerton College gridiron football this last weekend here at Hal Scherbeck Field. Near side of the park, it goes to Acevedo. He's trying to start an attack, but he gets marked, ends up turning this one over, and it goes to the left-hand side off the foot of Fernando Salas. Salas with Castillo. Castillo's going to bring it back. Castillo looking to do something similar to what he did in that matchup against Long Beach City College, where in the 53rd minute he scored the opener. He also had 3 shots in that game. But unfortunately, if you are a Santa Ana fan, that ended up as a 2-1 loss, as the only goal scored for the Dons was that marker by Randy Castillo. Also had a shot in that San Diego Mesa game as well. Under 10 to play in the first half. Arreola looking for someone else. He's got Martinez on the back pedal. Now Martinez, scoop to Paul Mounter. Heavy contact there, another one there. 1, 2, maybe 3. The official raises his arms and says, come on, guys, what is that? Gives possession to Fullerton College. Fullerton entering this one, looking to get their 108th win under Coach Greg Aviles. Last year he got his 100th in his Fullerton College career, now entering his 9th season at the helm of this Fullerton College program. At this point, everyone in the state of California knows about Greg Aviles and the pedigree that his coaching staff with Kenny Castellanos brings, as Fullerton College, under both of their tutelage, has now cranked out a total of 7 different postseason appearances and a minimum of 5 conference championships to their credit in the time since Greg Aviles took over here at Fullerton. And Kenny Castellanos is entering his 18th year on the staff at Fullerton College. And for Coach Castellanos as well, he played here at Fullerton College. Greg Aviles, as a player, ended up playing at Santiago Canyon. And both of them earning multiple accolades in their own right as players. And Joe, it's got to feel good if you're a student athlete getting recruited by a coach, knowing, hey, you know what? I've got a coach who not only played soccer at the collegiate level, because, you know, most coaches at the collegiate level played collegiate level soccer, but you have a couple of coaches who can relate to you at the community college level, and who not only just at the community college level, but who also went through Fullerton College or Santiago Canyon nearby. So they have the shared opportunities or shared histories as well that they're able to relate to these players with.
Hey. Yeah, it's a level of, it's almost like having that safety blanket, you know. You come here, you know your coaches have a history of excellence, you know the program has a history of excellence, and so you're coming someplace where you can have some level of reasonable assurance that you'll be taken care of as a student athlete. Again, going back to Coach Greg Aviles, who also likes to emphasize the student part of his student athletes. He's going to try to make you a well-rounded young man, whether it's on the football pitch or it's in the classroom. He's going to demand excellence in both areas, like we talked about before. He's that kind of coach, and he wants you to become that well-rounded individual, not just a football player.
Same can also be said on the other side for Jose Vasquez. Now in his 21st season as the head coach of Santa Ana College. And Joe, if that doesn't make both of us feel a little old, I don't know what will, because he took over in 2004. Actually make it 2004 and 2005, and that was 21 years ago. 281 victories for Jose Vasquez. 124 of those have come in conference play. Also has that national title under his belt as a head coach in 2004, his first year as the head coach of Santa Ana College, and a state title as well. So 2004, you get the state title and the national championship, and then 2005, you get the California state title and go back-to-back. Don's had a really good run of success in Southern California and the 3C2A in the late 90s and early 2000s. Here's Ligeti trying to catch it over to a teammate. 2 times on the dropper, he ends up getting that intercepted and finally checked out. It goes to Fullerton College, where they will make a substitution. Santa Ana trying to get back the Orange Empire Conference crown, as every team in the OEC starts off their conference play today. Last time Santa Ana won the Orange Empire Conference title was in 2021. That was the last time a team not named Fullerton College won the conference championship post-COVID. They finished 10-6-6 that season with a 6-2-4 record in OEC play.
That also makes me feel old.
Post-COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're over a half decade through.
I think I heard both my knees crack.
Things continue to roll on, not just for us, but also these programs. I mean, one thing that has interested me, Joe, too, in talking about how much time has passed since the pandemic began. I mean, you look at it and you go, okay.
We're talking pre-panty?
You're looking at it and going, okay, all those guys that we remember talking to, whether it be on the coach's show, just for interviews, also some athletes as well, as this is going to go over to Torres. He's loading up for a shot on his right foot. Now he'll find Acevedo. Acevedo liner down the middle, finally cleared out by a header. Chance for Cortez. He does find Castro. Make it Torres, up in the air. Ligeti can't catch up to it. Hornets still have it. Little pop, and that goes out far side. So off the Hornets, and it will end up being a throw-in. So nothing comes of that chance. But you think of it in a sense of the athletes that we got to talk to, the instructors we got to talk to, and then also the students we've had the opportunity to work with in the last 5 years. There were almost 3 different changes of community college students in that time since COVID, since we've talked to all of those students and student athletes. Ball over towards the right. Diego Reynoso, who just checked in a few moments ago, tries to leave it over for James Perez. Perez with it once more. He'll kind of scoop it off to that right, goes off his thigh, and the clearance there by Paul Mounter works. Under 2.5 to play in the first 45 as Fullerton College and Santa Ana no score. Last time these two teams did end up with no score was last year on November 8th. So neither team has been able to score in this series between one another since October 15th of 2024, where Fullerton College got a couple of goals from Jacob Ponce and Giovanni Sanchez. Zariola. Heavy contact. A little push down. That ends up going against Jack Overton. And Overton will draw a foul and see this one go in favor of the Hornets. Calling for it on the far side. It looks like that is Alexander Mejia Juarez. Different lineup here for the Hornets. We'll get everyone checked in a moment. Paul Mounter with Cortez. This is Torres. Side spinner. He goes the exact way that Mejia Juarez called for, and no one was there. So that goes out. And so now on the field for Fullerton, you have Martinez in goal with Paul Mounter in addition to Cortez. They're joined by Acevedo and Glowacki. Torres is out there as well. Ariola with Overton and Ligeti. Mejia Juarez. And they are all joined by, it looks like, Jared Rodriguez. Rodriguez watching it with Overton. Overton to Ligeti. Ligeti looking for it. He's got it off his thigh. Takes a shot that goes in! What a volley to a goal. It's one of the best we've seen in the last 2 years. That is a goal by Ligeti, and he is assisted by Jack Overton. It's 1-0 Fullerton College.
You know, that's, as you would say, Ryan, to put it simply, that is, especially going into the second half, that is something this squad has needed. Years previously, we were used to the slow start of Fullerton College, them not being a high point scoring team early this season. In the preseason, we'll call it, we've seen them rack up goals in matches, but that's because they've allowed goals. This is a team that is kind of doing what Mark was saying he was hoping they'd be doing last week when we were out here calling Fullerton College football. It's a team that's controlling their back line a little bit more. I'm seeing them and noticing them pass a little bit more around the midfield, and they were able to connect to score that goal.
And Ligeti is the one who ends up getting it off the volley like you were talking about. You look at what you and Mark have been saying, and that is, don't wait for the perfect opportunity to happen. Don't try and force the perfect opportunity to happen.
Let it rip.
Just let that fly. As soon as you let that fly, you're going to see a lot of success, and that is exactly what happens there. That ball just gets popped up into the air, goes to Jack Overton, who ends up heading it over in the direction of Ligeti. Ligeti has it pop off his thigh with control, scooped over towards his left foot initially, and is just able to kind of, we'll say, front run it. And what I mean by that is he puts a lot of front spin on top of it and has a break here. Ligeti with the ball. He's got it on the right-hand side. It's a 2-on-3 as Fullerton hurries, trying to line it down the middle. Here's a shot by Overton that gets blocked. So 3 shots, make it 4 by the Hornets. Left-hand side, here's Castillo catching up to it, but it is Paul Mounter who gets to it first. Castillo right back to it. He's in a one-on-one situation. In the corner, still working against Paul Mounter. Here's the corner kick.
We have 45 minutes have elapsed in the first half. So we're in what I like to lovingly and jokingly call OEC mystery time.
It is very much the case, as we have seen throughout the years, that we have absolutely no idea how much is there on the stoppage, because the officials tell the coaching staffs exactly how much time is on the clock left before the first half comes to a conclusion. They do not tell us on the broadcast location. You know, you always see the guys up in the broadcast on games you watch on TV or so. They're always telling you, hey, we've got 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left of stoppage time, etc. That is because they are fed the information from the extra official. That is not the case when you are in community college, as that will close the first 45 of play. And if you're Fullerton, you're very happy with how that went. 45 minutes in the books for the Fullerton College Hornets. They lead it 1-0. In the 44th minute, Jacob Ligeti, assisted by Jack Overton, And that makes it a 1-0 lead for the Fullerton College Hornets. We're going to step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we'll have Texas James and Mr. Vito joined by myself here at the half. You are watching Hornet Radio and our coverage of the weekday kickoff. Ryan Osborne joined by James Spillin and Vito Almador. Here at the half, Fullerton College leads it 1-0 over top of Santa Ana. And guys, as you join me here real quick, you guys were manning the cameras on either side of this press box, and you look at Fullerton College in that first half. They controlled the pace of play. They were able to attack really well, but I want to go to the energy here. Obviously, you're not going to have as many people in the stands as you do on a Friday night or a Tuesday night even, because people are at work. They have to tune in more towards the broadcast. But when you're listening to things from the sidelines, because we know that this sideline can get pretty loud, what is the feeling in the stadium so far?
The feeling from the Fullerton side is that they are very amped up. Fullerton side is very amped up right now. They have been really yelling, trying to get their team to make a good break and a good run. And I hear the same thing from the Santa Ana side. They are doing their sideline is yelling. Their fans and teammates are trying to do the same thing Fullerton's doing, which is causing deep runs.
And you mentioned that. I mean, James, you look at that first half. Fullerton College, those runs were working pretty well for them, especially along the sideline. You've seen soccer here at Fullerton College over the last 2 weeks of play. Have you noticed anything different from the first 2 weeks until today?
Yeah, absolutely. Fullerton's had the ball in their side of the field way more often than the last couple of games. They're on the attack more as opposed to in the defense. And when they have been in defense, their goalies put on a couple good saves.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Fullerton with 5 unofficial shots in the first half of play. Last week they only had the 2. So just what you guys are talking about, they're going on the offensive side of things. They're making sure that they have a lot more aggressive strategy. Their back line has been pushed up quite a bit, and it's really helped them out getting that 1-0 lead. Now I'll switch it over to a different side of football. Not football, but football. And you guys were here on Saturday. I'll start with James. You look at Fullerton College gridiron football that had their moment in the sun on Saturday. 71-12 victory that was pretty impressive to say the least. And it looked like that Fullerton offense was clicking.
Yeah, and that's back-to-back games now where they score on a deep pass to JT Weir on the first drive of the game. Their offense put up 44 points in the first half. JT Weir went for almost 200 yards in the first half, 3 touchdowns, I do believe. And, their offense has been clicking. I think ever since that Ventura game, their offense has been just on fire. And their defense is starting to match up with it, too.
And Vito, earlier today you had an interview with one of the players on Fullerton College team, right? I take that back. James was the one who had the interview with a guy on Fullerton College team. But you have also been around this program a little bit, especially the last few games that they have had here at home. You get to see the interview take place. Is there anything that kind of sets this team apart in your mind from other teams that you've been around?
Yes, they are a brotherhood. I noticed that when I was out at practice today, watching everybody converse with each other, pushing each other, and just trying to get the best out of each teammate that they have.
I mean, you mentioned that, and you take a look at what Fullerton College continues to bring. They always talk about the once a Hornet, always a Hornet. The brotherhood that you talked about just a few moments ago is something that they always stress to their alumni as well. You guys have mentioned it before, and I know you've mentioned it to me before, James, too, is that you can see family members, alumni, siblings, cousins, friends, whether it be at practice or also at the games, just coming out to support those family members, coming out to support the coaching staff as well. They've built a very cohesive unit, not just on the field, but also off the field as well.
Right, and I was the one that interviewed with Ethan Charpentier today, and he said that the brotherhood is very, very good. He said, as compared to last year, like they have each other's back this year. You know, like last year they had a lot of trouble with the offense. The offense went 3 and out a lot, and their defense had to work really hard for what they had to do. This year they get to work as a team. When they make a stop, they get to sit on the sideline for a little bit and watch that offense go to work. So it's working in all 3 phases of the game.
I'll switch it back over to you, Vito. I want to talk about the outside conditions right now. Now, today it's a little bit warmer than what we've seen in the last few days, especially warmer than Saturday was.
Yes.
But have you noticed anything different when you're out in the camera wells when it comes to the conditions at Hal Scherbeck Field? I know that football and football are 2 very different things, 2 very different sports, but you can observe differences in how the field kind of plays just based on how hot or how cold it is.
Oh, yes. I mean, today we've had a good breeze during this game. The weather has not been as bad as it has been in the past, especially for our football games. But today the field has been playing great. Not too many individuals slipping.
No, it's funny you mentioned that because last week that was something that Joe and I actually talked about on the broadcast. Right to your point is the dew level and the dew point here in Fullerton College, what we've seen for night games. The colder it gets, the later it gets into the season, the dew point drops, the moisture level drops, and the field gets very slick. And that's one thing that a lot of athletes have had an issue with, not just with Fullerton's field, but also Orange County as a whole. It's especially big in North Orange County because you have all that dew and that moisture dropping down onto the field levels where the field does get very slick if it's not natural grass. So to your point, you go to Fullerton College gridiron football, they haven't had to play at night. They haven't had to worry about that. They've had those 12 o'clock starts, those 2 o'clock starts. Fullerton College soccer or football hasn't had to worry about that all too much because they've been playing earlier in days, 6 o'clock matches earlier in September. They'll have some 6 o'clocks later on that are going to really take these field conditions into effect and really be in the back of their minds as they go forward throughout the entirety of the year. Now, before we get on out of here, James, you look at that Fullerton College program. They're going into a bye week. You're a football guy. You like football. If you're a team going into a bye week, what's the number one thing that is on the mind coming out of a dominant win into a bye week?
Well, first, during the bye week, you want to get some rest. And the coaches emphasized that today. They need to get some of their players some rest, get them off their legs. But after that, you got to be focused. You got to be on point. There's no reason for lapses and mental lapses. You got to cut down on the penalties, which they've had a problem with this year. So getting the little things set is what you really need to get out of the bye week.
So that's going to do it for us here at the half. You heard a little bit from both Vito and James. As we finish off our halftime report, we're going to step aside for a minute. When we come back, we'll have some second half action between Fullerton College and Santa Ana right here on Hornet Radio. The weekday kickoff here on Hornet Radio, as we are bringing you live game action from Fullerton College between the Fullerton College Hornets and the Santa Ana Dons. Ryan Osborne joined by Joseph Pavlenko here on the broadcast with you as we are underway here in the second half of play. Fullerton College will be going from right to left in their navy blue kits and uniforms that we are used to. Martinez having to catch up to this quickly. He'll pop this one up and into the attacking half now with Evan Courtney. Courtney, we'll see this one go off the foot of Fabian Perez. Perez now with Courtney. Courtney going against the wind. He's going to lay this one off to the right. Here's a chance for the Hornets. Swung to the near side. Here's Perez. Takes a shot that ends up getting saved away. Well done by Valentin, who is going to give his back line a little bit of an earful, and rightfully so if you're Valentin, because you had to be alive on that one. And for Fullerton, it's their first shot of the second half, and for Valentin, it's his fourth save of the game. So well placed there by Fullerton College as they were able to get up the park quickly and find a lot of success and movement on that right-hand side. Here's a liner, back post, right back to the middle it flies, and Fullerton almost with a chance to get up on the board again. And Acevedo was the one who dropped this one back towards the middle. Now the Hornets get something on the far side touchline. It will be a deep throw in for Paul Mounter. Paul Mounter, left of him will be Jared Rodriguez. Rodriguez with Jack Overton in addition to Perez. All joined by Acevedo as well. Paul Mounter, high floater in the sky, and it's going to stay up for Perez. Perez will swing it over to his left off of his head. Here's a shot that does not deflect off of anyone. Just misses our left-hand corner by a couple of feet. And David Suarez will see that one go out and wide. Shot for the Hornets. No save on that one. I bring Joseph Pavlenko in once more. Joe, you take a look at the Hornets in the first half. They were attacking the way that they wanted to. They were applying pressure the way that they wanted to. And very similar to what James Spillane said at halftime, it just seems like the Hornets being a little bit more aggressive allowed for them to have the success they want.
Yeah, definitely. It's the old guy isn't here, so I'll bring it into dancing terms or musical terms as I like to. They're kind of controlling the momentum of the match, or at least it seems that way so far into the game. You know, we are early into the second half of play here, so whatever halftime adjustments that may or may not have been discussed or encouraged to happen during the half by the coaching staff could still be right over the woodwork. Could still be in the process of being implemented as the teams are. It's almost another feeling out period at the start of the second half because both teams have those notes that they've been given.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you see two different teams who get adjustments going at the half. Obviously, every single coach on this planet is going to have adjustments to make at a halftime. So you go into the second half realizing, hey, you've got two different teams making updates and adjustments as this is Jack Overton trying to catch up to the ball, cleared away, and it will be a corner kick coming up to the Hornets. That'll be their second, make it their third of the game and their first in the second half. So now you're going update versus update, adjustment versus adjustment. And how do you figure out what the other side is doing? How do you figure out what they have changed? And that's something that they have to figure out in a hurry, especially if you are Santa Ana. You've got plenty of time in the second half to work with, especially considering they already have a come-from-behind draw earlier this season against San Bernardino Valley. But nonetheless, it's not a hole that you want to find yourself in. High into the box, a chance for the Hornets once more. Perez, here's a shot that gets blocked. Another chance, opportunity, shot, save, and it's there once more. So second shot that goes on goal. It is another save for Valentin, and for Valentin, that's his second of the half and his fifth of the game.
You know, when you think about it, Ryan, being a coach of an athletic team, it's like being a real-life Pokemon trainer.
It certainly can be, as here's Courtney who takes a shot that's blocked. But I'll let you elaborate on that.
Oh, it's like a Pokemon battle. You're out here on the sidelines, and you're giving the orders. You can't actually play, and you're over here saying, "Go, Pokemon, go!" I choose you, Pikachu.
Here's a shot by Overton that gets blocked, taken away by the Dons. Every single week, Joe's mission is to make sure that I am not taken off track, but at least broken just a little bit. And it has been successful every week that we have done Football Fridays or the weekday kickoff in the last 3 years now. But nonetheless, that is part of what makes our broadcast special. If you've never had the opportunity to watch Football Fridays or the weekday kickoff, we welcome you here to Hornet Radio. We do things a little bit differently. Normally, if we have the old guy, just a little bit. Normally, if we have the old guy, who we affectionately refer to, it ends up being a little more zany, a little bit more wacky, because what we usually do is we will have some play-by-play mixed in. But for the most part, it is a highlight of community college athletics, not just the soccer side of things, but also athletic training staffs. We talk about coaching staffs. We promote student athletes and how they're doing and what they're able to do in terms of finding successes and the struggles that they may have as well. Then we also talk strategy. But it's less so the strict play-by-play as it is more of a highlight of what is happening at the community college level, and to bring in that sense of community, not just here at Fullerton, but across the 3C2A. But when you flip it over to a day like today, where it is myself with Joe, in addition to James Spillin and Vito Almador, a little bit less of a staff than we're used to. We bring a little bit more play-by-play, but we're still going to make sure that we highlight the coaching staffs and what they are trying to do and help with these student athletes as much as we can, because that is really what the goal of not just Fullerton Colleges and the Fullerton College staff is, but also Football Fridays and the weekday kickoff. It is, yes, to bring you the game. Yes, we do want you to have the opportunity to see these student athletes in action, but we also want you to know exactly what they're able to do and how they're able to have success, and where you can really look at a sense of triumph from a couple of student athletes who are continually making sure that they get their secondary education and keep it going at the athletic level.
Oh, and, as I think is customary to say here at Fullerton College, I'll button up that lovely sentiment that you said, Ryan, with "Si se puede."
Yes, they can. This is going to be tossed in on that far side. Fullerton College trying to defend, and it looks like a whole trio of substitutions are going to come in for Santa Ana in a moment. We will get those once we have them. And on the far side of the pitch, it will end up going and being intercepted twice. Now Overton looking for it. Toss in once again for Santa Ana. Fullerton going right to left with under 36 and a half to play in this second half. Fullerton leading it 1-0. Now up ahead, it will fly. Little backspin. Checked up by Wiedhen. Wiedhen looking for a teammate. Paul Mounter is there for a moment. Now a foot race to the sideline where it will be picked up by the Dons and tossed in quickly. Turned it right over, and it will be Cisco Torres who's able to clear it out. That's going to go right to the touchline. Overton having to catch up to it. Does it go off of him and out? It does not. It was just cleared away. Now Overton. Fabian Perez. Scooper on the left. That will be offsides if he catches up to it, and he does exactly that. So David Suarez was pushing up on that left-hand side. He ends up getting called for the offside, and it goes back to Santa Ana College. Joe, really quickly, do want to highlight the Hornet Radio program here at Fullerton College, and I'll actually let you take this one because you look at Hornet Radio and just making sure that everyone has the opportunity to know what goes on in terms of what classes can be offered, what you can learn, not just across radio, but also across the news class as well.
So it sounds like you want me to mention Hornet Radio, which would be the radio station here at Fullerton College, formerly known as KBPK, home of the best music, the best variety. But that is the past, and now we are Hornet Radio. Come on to Fullerton College. Bunch of media classes Mark likes to talk about, the old guy. It's a bit of a misnomer here. We say radio, but we do video. We're streaming a soccer match here in the middle, almost middle of a week. And it's because we're multimedia, and some would say it's because Hornet Media has kind of grown a little bit beyond. Ryan said, I think you mentioned journalism news, because we have a news publication here on campus known as The Hornet, and it's all part of the big happy family that we call Hornet Media, where we do news, we do sports, we do entertainment, we have a newspaper, a magazine, a radio station, podcasting. Basically, if you had one of those word boards of different formats of media and you threw darts at it, anything a dart hitted? Made up a Corey Nayland word almost. Anything a dart hit, would be something that we're probably involved in or looking to teach the students about here at Hornet Radio and Hornet Media.
Back here on the pitch. No foul call there. It was a throw-in now for the Hornets. This won't register as a shot on goal, but this one does go in on Valentin. So Valentin will scoop it away. Once more it goes to Castro. Castro leaving it over towards the right to Courtney. Courtney drops this one down. Here's a shot that had to be parried away nicely by Valentin. Oh my goodness, Valentin staying alive. And he is successfully able to parry that one off to the side. That was a laser that was delivered by, I believe it was David Suarez on that right side.
Yeah, I love seeing that. You're knocking. Was he outside that 18-yard box or just kind of flirting with touching the line there before when he let that rip?
He was outside. If you're watching it online, he was about at the 15-yard line of the gridiron football markings here. Another corner kick for Fullerton. It's their second of the second half. This one's high into the air. Going to stay there for the Hornets for a second. Little turnaround shot for Overton that's going to easily land in the awaiting arms of Valentin. That's the 10th shot of this one. Here's an opportunity the other way. Steven Martinez watching that one. So he stays alive on it and gets his first save of the second half.
So is this the sort of showing you were hoping or expecting Fullerton College to have today? I know before the game we were talking, both of these teams had a little bit of a slow start to the season. I know I was talking, it felt like Fullerton's offense, or let's not just call it the offense, the whole team sort of felt like they were trying to cold start an engine a little bit in some of their preseason games. And statistically, it looks like Santa Ana's had a little bit of a slow start as well.
Yeah, honestly, it's not necessarily the exact way that I thought Fullerton would come out. So far in this one, they've been dominant. I mean, it's been pure and simple, plain and simple, if you will. Fullerton so far controlling the pace of play. They have also controlled the shots. They've controlled possession in the attacking third. They forced Santa Ana to be backpedaling constantly in this one to this point. I think if you were watching the last matchup for Fullerton in that late game loss that they took last week, you got clues into what was going to take place so far today. You saw them bring up their back line quite a bit more. You saw Martinez push up a lot more towards the midfield side of things. And Fullerton's offense started to click a lot more. They got a lot more chances. They had 7 different chances, 4 of them being on-goal chances in the last 6 minutes of play. That really led to almost tying that one up last week. And if you're Fullerton College, you, of course, don't want to come away with a loss, but you saw a lot more encouraging things happen for this program at the end of last week's matchup. So now you switch it over, you go past Norco and to Santa Ana, and what the Hornets decided is just in this matchup, they were just straight up going to go and attack. Be on the attack, get into the attacking third, make sure that they have the opportunity to force Santa Ana to backpedal, not set up their offense, and it has brought them a lot of success. No card here. This is just going to be a talking to Alessandro Torres, who does have to be careful because earlier he did get a booking in the 12th minute. But for Fullerton College, this is the type of game that they want to play. This is the type of game they can play, especially if you're looking at it from the coaching staff's perspective. They've controlled the pace of play. They've controlled the shots. They haven't given up a dangerous chance yet.
So to ask the dangerous question, as we're just scratching the 60th minute of play here, are they on their way to kind of cementing what their identity as a team is, do we think?
I think if
are they figuring it out?
If the success continues the way that they did, I think the last 6 minutes of that matchup against Norco has the chance to completely change how this season ends up for Fullerton College, especially going into conference play. But it all depends on how well they're able to implement that success towards the end of this one. Here's another corner kick for Fullerton. This will be their third of the second half. And I think if you're Fullerton College, if you continue this offensive side of things, it's going to bring you a lot more success than you were looking at the first 2 weeks of the weekday kickoff.
And we know going back, I know we were a little harsh as the team was figuring out who they were in some of their early outings, right? But Fullerton is always kind of, the last 2 or 3 seasons we've been out here, Ryan, they've taken a while to find out who was the golden boot on the team. I know last year we had some diversity, some would say variety, in the tools that they had on the field that could generate goals, that could find the back of the net. 2 years ago, they had Misael Gonzalez, and it felt like it was Misael Gonzalez or go home, which in the postseason, we saw him getting double, triple, quadruple teamed. But both those years, they didn't exactly come out the gate super offensively. They had some ties and stuff. They didn't get some losses right off the bat, but it was still a slow start to the season. Like it seems to kind of be what this team does as they're figuring out who they are. It's just they took a couple L's in the preseason this year, which we weren't used to seeing over the last few years.
Yeah, you look at Fullerton, especially going from last year to this year, where you had a very veteran lineup and a very tough lineup from that season with Misa and with Angel Sevillano, where they continually were ranked in the top 3 in the nation. So not just Fullerton College, not just 3C2A, but in the nation. And then you roll a lot of those guys right back over. Santa Ana comes on the attack. They have an opportunity. Here's a shot and a save by Martinez. Kevin Munoz was able to drop that down off his right foot and force a corner kick. But that's an excellent chance there for the Duns. Their first very good chance here in the second half. Corner kick coming up on this near side of the park. It will be off the foot of Alexander Catano. Catano scored the first goal in that matchup against LA City in the 39th minute. He's going to float this one up, and Martinez says, hey, that's going to be mine. I'll pick it up and I'll throw it. Here's Ligeti taking it away. He's got a 3-on-3 if he hurries. He's got some help by Evan Courtney. Looks around, still looking for Courtney, and a missed touch on the ball will turn it right back over. Big chance by the Hornets doesn't end up coming to fruition there, as Paul Mounter is going to be in a foot race with Castillo. Here's Castillo. Swinging over to his left foot, now down the middle of the park. Taken away.
You know, it wasn't on the goal-scoring part of offense, but it was still a situation where he had enough Hornets trailing him that with that missed touch of the ball, I'm a little disappointed to not see one of his teammates kind of be heads up enough. We saw a couple of them react, but none of them were able to get to the ball quick enough to keep it from going back into their third of the field as deep as it did.
Here's a chance. Fullerton, a 4-on-2. Little push. That's going to be a penalty kick. No?
No, I think
Goal
it was.
kick.
Yeah.
I take that right back. So initially it looked like it was going to be contact for a moment. The Fullerton College coaching staff isn't thrilled. And if you're a Fullerton College fan, you're watching that saying, okay, well, there was a lot of heavy contact on the far side. A couple of players reacted initially to the point towards the middle as if it was going to be a penalty kick, but instead it goes as a goal kick. And that will allow for Santa Ana to take over. Heavy contact there, Joe, but it's kind of what you and Mark had been talking about the last couple of weeks. If you're going to let them play, you have to let them play. You can't just give something up on, we won't say that's the heaviest contact of this match.
Yeah, and it's light blue on dark blue makes it very easy to see from up here in the press box, but it looked like he was walking almost right on that line on the 18-yard box. And I think if he would have been closer into where, let's say, the N is, if you're looking at the end zone, more deep inside of that 18-yard box when he took that spill, I think we maybe would have seen a penalty be awarded. But because he was kind of so far out on the wing still, I think that's why we didn't really see the call and they awarded the goal kick.
Takeaway here by the Dons. Far side, it will end up going back to Munoz. Munoz looking for it for a second. He'll catch up to it, but only after a throw-in for Fullerton College. If you have the opportunity, we invite you to join this Fullerton College soccer program in person. They've got more than a few matches coming up here at home at Hal Scherbeck Field. So if you have the chance later on in October, there will be a lot of live matches to come and watch. But if you don't have the chance to be able to watch them in person, you can do so right here on Hornet Radio in conjunction with the FC Sports Athletic YouTube page, where we bring you live Fullerton College soccer, volleyball, and gridiron football all season long.
So we could call this fall ball, right? Fall football?
I would say so, though fall ball is more associated with baseball and softball.
It seems very greedy of them to monopolize a term like that. Multiple teams play sports with balls, Ryan.
That is true. And
I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to Mr. Athletics.
Mr. Athletics is going to say, you know what? Everyone's going to be here in the fall to watch football, and then also football. That's right. That's 3 different footballs. Men's soccer, women's soccer, gridiron football. 3 footballs. I believe there may have been a booking on the far side to the bench of Santa Ana.
That's generally what happens when the ref looks at one of the coaches like a disappointed parent looks at a child.
The officials just kind of looking out over towards that far side. One of the assistant coaches for Santa Ana just kind of talking to the ref and voicing his displeasure, and the official saying, hey, you know what, let's settle things down, let's slow it down, let's have some communication lines here. And that's exactly what happened. So it seems like there was a booking on that far side. We will not have official word, as we do not have direct communication to the 4th official on the near side of the park, or make that the 3rd official on the near side of the park. Ball into the air. Fullerton trying to catch up, but it will swing over towards Castillo on the clearance. Castillo chasing back. Can't catch up to it. Now Fabian Perez. High chopper. Now to Acevedo. Acevedo tries to dribble away from trouble and into the box, and it will go off of a down and out. And a corner kick coming up for Fullerton College as they bring in some substitutions. Looks like Perez is going to take a seat. He had an excellent chance earlier, and he's been dangerous since entering for the Hornets. Evan Courtney will also sit as well, in addition to Michael Espinoza. Joining them will be Kevin Castro. So now Villafana will enter, in addition to Miguel Rodas.
Is that Acevedo running to go take that corner kick?
I don't believe so. I will give you.
Nope. Nope.
Acevedo's down the middle of the park. He's going to be in on the potential header. It looks like it's Mejia Juarez who will take the corner kick on the far side. Pops this one into the air near towards Paul Mounter, where it will go up into the air and out of play.
Where are my spectacles? My glasses. I need my glasses.
Oh, that's what we normally have the old guy here for.
To take the fall?
No, well, no. So that way he can use his spectacles to look across the field.
Oh, okay.
It's like a magnifying glass. Coming up on just under 20 minutes to play here at Al Scherbeck Field. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, the ghost of the old guy, as we will
Taking
get
strays.
we will get Mark Pavlovich back in a couple of weeks here
He's
on
haunting
Hornet
us,
Radio.
and it's not even October yet?
That's true. He's just preparing as Paul Mounter will catch up to this and clear it out.
Premature haunting?
Exactly. Mark Pavlovich, in case you aren't familiar, is the third voice on our broadcast usually. And he is very familiar with Orange Empire Conference soccer. He has been covering Orange Empire soccer for the last 20 years or so, and is also the voice of the Cypress College Chargers, and also does some Saddleback soccer as well. That's going to be a card, and a very easy one to pull out of the pocket there.
Yeah, that was... So, gentle viewer at home, if you're unaware of slide tackles, generally, some contact is maybe acceptable, but for it to be considered clean, the intent needs to be the ball. Now, if some contact is made, let's call it incidental or unincidental contact, sometimes that's the name of the game. But that looked like he went straight through his legs with the intent to trip, which is why the hand went to the pocket and the card came out.
Yeah, and in this case for Ruiz, and that is in fact Victor Ruiz who ends up getting the booking in the 72nd minute. The reason why he tries to do it is he's trying to stop an odd person breakout attempt by Fullerton College, but in doing so, he's going to sacrifice getting booked in order to stop the chance. Here's Ligeti down the middle to Palacios, another chance for the Hornets. Looks like it goes off of Mejia Juarez, and it will end up into the awaiting arms of Valentin. So Valentin has done well here today by our unofficial count. He should have faced about 14 Fullerton shots and have at least 7 saves to his credit. That'll be a foul. No card here as Cisco Torres gets called for it. Fullerton bookings with Antonio Villafana in addition to Andrew Ariola. And on the other side for Mount Sac, Alessandro Torres and Victor Ruiz.
Now I'm going to try to equate this to other sports because it's a fun game I like to play. But going back to that booking, you said it was to stop the flow of play. So that's almost like committing a technical foul in a basketball game, correct?
They actually have a term for
Flagrant
it.
foul.
A clear path foul.
A clear path foul,
Yes,
okay.
a clear path foul. So that is something
New
that
copy
was
of the Basketball Thesaurus.
that was something that was introduced more than a few years ago. But what it is you have a very clear break attempt and you commit a foul to stop that. So instead of it just being a common foul and having to go back, normally it also depends on what level you're at, it's going to be possession awarded to the team that was going to be on the break, and depending on the toughness of the foul, you can also tack on a flagrant to it.
See, I just like to bring up the similarities because so many people like to look at the beautiful game of football and say, wow, these guys flop. They take these dives and whatever it may be, right? I like to try to draw the parallels between other sports and be like, no, there are fouls committed in a similar fashion in other games. You just have to kind of connect the thread.
Here's Ligeti. Ligeti to the middle, but no one was there. Everyone for Fullerton College was making the same run, and then by the time that they turned around and looked at the ball, they said, oh, wait, hold on. I thought you had it. Wait, I thought you had it. And all three of them did not, in fact, have it, as it was going to go right back to the Dons. But Fullerton takes it away once more, and Ligeti with Palacios. Now Mejia Juarez, left-hand side. Make that Almeida. Ivan Almeida looking for Palacios. It gets deflected away. Mejia Juarez with it once more. Swings to the right. Chopped over a little bit. Thinks about pulling the trigger on a shot. Gets into some traffic and contact. Antonio Villafana on his left foot. On goal, and a save is made. By unofficial count, that should be the 6th save of the second half for Carlos Valentin. And with under 15 to play, he has more than kept them in it. Without the play of Valentin, this would definitely be a very different matchup. Ball out near side of the park. 14:22 left in the official 90. Clearance attempt by the Hornets. That's going to go off the Hornets and out, but they say that it was last touched by the Dons. Coach Avila saying, hey, let's slow things down just a little bit. We don't have to rush anything, so let's make sure that we're in our formation, we're in our shape, in our system.
Right. You're up 1-0. Now's not the time to make a silly error and let Santa Ana down the field on a breakaway and give them an opportunity.
And we've seen Fullerton in the previous two matches here on the weekday kickoff give up counterattack chances. So if you're Fullerton College, you cannot afford to be caught in midfield and not getting back in time. All the way back into the corner it will go. This will be the third corner of the match for Santa Ana in their second of the second half. Big chance here for the Dons. It's going to be Randy Castillo to take the corner kick on the far side. He will be joined by Ivan Torres. Torres, in addition to Alessandro Torres. Vidhin is in there as well. Up into the air, goes off of Cisco Torres and out. And a corner kick, it looked like initially. And they're going to say a foul goes against the Dons, as Cisco Torres is slow to get up.
I'm sure both Greg and Kenny would love Fullerton to find another marker, put another one on the board, just for safety, for insurance.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you look at how close the OEC can get. You always want
Had that record, right?
Yeah, you always want to be able to make sure that in case there is the opportunity for tiebreakers, you need to have your best showing against common opponents. And also part of that will be goal differential, but that's later on in the tiebreakers. It usually ends up going, and this is the case in the OEC, how you did against one another first, and then it will end up going down the list of tiebreakers overall. So if you have the opportunity to close out an opponent in conference play, it is absolutely paramount that you get your chance and close the door.
Is that something similar to what you were mentioning to me about how they kind of changed standings a little in football in Southern California as well?
Not quite, because what they did in gridiron football is they took the top two placements in each and every conference or league. You have the conference champion and then the first, second place team. That's right, the first, second place team. So tiebreakers come into effect very heavily, because you could have teams that are tied for second place, but it goes down to the tiebreakers and you have the first, second place team that ends up going on. So it becomes a 1 through 6 seed. The conference champion is not necessarily guaranteed a top 3 seed as well, as two different athletes are helped by both athletic training staffs for both Santa Ana and Fullerton College.
So in gridiron football, it goes down to almost that same notion of, let's say, Fullerton College football's on a hot streak. They're doing good this year, but the matchup down the line, they might really need that win against Golden West later in the season, and they need to show up and play that game very well.
Yes. So when you look at gridiron football, the next month or so is going to be very important for Fullerton College, but the final month in November is going to be the biggest month of their season. I mean, that's usually the way that it is for pretty much every team ever, right? Your final month of the season is always going to determine whether or not you make the playoffs. But it's very important for Fullerton College because at the end they're going to play Golden West and Southwestern. And in playing those two teams, those are the top two teams in the conference. You have to replace one of them in the top of the conference standings. Now, when you look at Fullerton College men's soccer, so Fullerton College football, it works a little different. The conference champion is automatically guaranteed a spot into the playoffs. However, you end up having to go to RPI, or at least a version of RPI. It may not actually be called that, but it's the strength of your team.
I can hear the old guy mumbling under his breath at the mention of RPI.
Yes, indeed. It's the strength of your team, the other teams that you played, how well you played against them, and the strength of their schedule and how well they did against their schedule as well. You take a lot of math, you divide by a lot, you find the square root, you multiply it by 7, and then you end up finding exactly the amount of ranking that you have to get yourself into the playoffs. And if I remember right, usually the way that it goes in terms of percentage points, and I believe it's actually called power points, is that the top X amount of teams go to the playoffs, as this is going to go out, goal kick coming up to Santa Ana. But the top X amount of teams go to the playoffs depending on how well they did in conference, how well their power points go. Did they win their conference? If they didn't, then they are considered an at-large bid. Very simple. The easiest way to get in, win your conference. Right after that, do very well in conference, and you're probably going to get assured at least a spot.
I'm going to be honest with you. You said PowerPoints, and I started thinking about Pokemon because that's how many times you can use a move in that game.
See, my first thought went to Power Pellets from Pac-Man.
You're not that old.
I'm not that old, but I do enjoy a good Pac-Man game. You know that my favorite...
Jaunty Rompin' Pac-Man, eh?
My favorite game to play when I was younger was Galaga, okay? So that's where I stand mentally. This is a break on the other side for Santa Ana. Trying to get something going here. Looking for the tying marker. Little floater popped up into the air. Nobody able to get to it except for the Dons. Swung back towards the middle. Nicely cut out by, it looked like Chavez, but he's going to see that taken away. Away go the Hornets. Now with Rodas. Rodas looking for someone. Palacios can't catch up to it. And he's saying, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know I was offsides, but I didn't go after the ball. The official looks at him and says, it wasn't you. The other guy was also offsides. So Mejia Juarez also being offsides. Both guys find the whistle.
Yeah, I wasn't going after the ball. I was just running in the general direction of it.
Line down. Throw-in coming up with 7 minutes on the clock.
This has been a really fast 82 minutes.
It has indeed. There haven't been very many stoppages in this one, like we saw in the last two matches. It's been pretty good in terms of flow, as that'll be a foul against Fullerton and a set piece coming up. So here's where the danger lies, Joe. You have a ball that is placed near towards that far sideline, but it's a great spot to get an in-swinger. And if you can get something towards the, we'll say, the front post for the person kicking it away, and just find someone to the top of the box to clean up anything that comes out of that pile, you're going to be in a great spot to get the tying marker. 6:15 on the clock. Ball into the air, delivered by Castillo down the middle of the park. It flies for a second, headed off of two different people. Here's a shot that's blocked, and the Dons get it right back. Goes back to Raul Vasquez. Vasquez, heavy contact. Now right back to the right it goes, intercepted by Paul Mounter. Cleared up, high bounce, foul against Fullerton.
Home supporter section, lively at that call.
You hear in the background, Fullerton College supporters saying, hey, he stopped in order for him to run into him. Well, unfortunately, the way that the rule is written, if you're a Fullerton fan, you're not going to be thrilled with it, but nonetheless, the rule states you have to control your own body at all times. So even if the guy in front of you stops so that way you end up running into him. You have to be in control of your momentum. And in this case, Palacios runs into the contact, and Randy Castillo is the one who's going to kick it away on the set piece.
It's like driving on a Southern California freeway. If somebody brake checks you, you still need to stop.
You are in, yes, exactly. No, that is almost exactly the same way that the rule is written, Joe. It's very much like like rear-ending someone on the freeway. Almost at all times in the state of California, you rear-end someone, you're going to be told by the insurance companies, hey, you must be in control of your car at all times. Here's Castillo. Heavy pressure there by Cortez. He's able to get it away, 2-1. It does find Ivan Torres. Torres has to stop. Now chops this one over towards Chavez. Chavez trying to swing it to his left. That's a corner kick coming up. Dons have to hurry just a little bit. They have 4.5 left to play in this one.
Plus or minus?
Plus or minus. We'll call it...
Well, plus. There is no minus.
We'll call it 6 minutes left. We'll say that there's an extra 2 minutes on the clock.
I'll take over.
I will bring out a stopwatch and see exactly how close we are. Here's Castillo talking to the officials saying, hey, can I go yet or no? He hears the whistle into the air. It's there, just goes past the post. That's a goal kick. And Steven Martinez, I can guarantee you, is not going to be in any rush to get over to this ball at all.
So this is a weird thing. Not in any rush to get to the ball, but game is not being played. Shouldn't the official in this case be counting up the stoppage timer? Play has stopped.
Only to a certain degree. So usually what he'll usually do is he'll say, okay, what is a reasonable amount of time to be able to go get the ball? That clock will continue to run while that reasonable amount of time is taking place. However, if he determines that the player who's going to get the ball is taking too much time, then you'll
delay of
see,
game.
Yes, no, pretty much exactly it. He'll go to his watch and he'll add some time to his watch so that way he knows exactly what the stoppage needs to be. On the right-hand side, this will end up being scooted over to Chavez. Chavez looking for one. He can't get it over to Munoz, and Munoz will see that taken away by Martinez. Santa Ana is trying to break a 0-5-1 streak against Fullerton College. In that time since the conference championship in 2021, Santa Ana is 0-5-1, and they have a -9 goal differential, 10-1. They have dropped in the goals for versus goals against category against Fullerton since 2021 and getting that conference title. Last time that Santa Ana scored in a matchup against Fullerton College was in 2023. Ended up getting shut out on October 15th last year, and then a scoreless tie on November 8th. They're trying to get themselves back in the win column against Fullerton, but first things first, they have to draw this one up. We are under 2 minutes on the clock, so the stopwatch has begun. No score yet. Lined away. Here's Glowacki. Glowacki looking for Palacios. Taken away. Now high. Both teams fighting for it. Fullerton trying to get to it. Little dump out that ends up going near side touchline. Santa Ana having to hurry. Goes over to Alvarez. Alvarez out of Santa Ana High School. Didn't have to go all too far to play his collegiate ball. Cleared off the Hornets. It looked like it ended up going off of David Suarez's face, and he's able to chop that one down, though.
I know we're in the closing minutes, maybe moments of this match, but I'm seeing some high-pressure offense coming from Santa Ana on those last couple plays. I know part of that's the urgency, but if I was their coaches, I'd be looking at them going, where was this all game, guys?
Yeah, and it's difficult, too, because you know that you have the opportunity and the ability to be able to do so. That will end up being a foul and what is essentially a corner kick for Fullerton College, because this will be all the way into the semicircle down on the left-hand side of the park. Fullerton College happy with the moment being as they are still leading it 1-0 If you're Fullerton, you have a chance to score here, but if you notice, almost no one is going into the box for them because they are more focused on not allowing a counterattack here, as we are just about 20 seconds away from the regular 90 ending. So we'll keep an eye on the official and exactly how much he decides he's going to allow to happen. Corner kick.
Would that be the
Little
soccer
tapper.
equivalent of taking a knee?
Not just, yeah, you know what? I can see that. It's kind of taking a knee, or if you've got 40 seconds on the clock, you can't quite take a knee, and you know that the other team has a timeout left in their pocket. You run the football once, and then you'll take the knee. That's exactly what that was. Just trying to waste a little bit of clock. The official looking at his stopwatch. We're into stoppage time. He has not motioned to the sideline yet, so we will not know how much he's going to have. Just about 30 seconds past the official 90, and here is an offsides pass if caught up to. That is exactly what takes place. Santa Ana sideline wasn't happy with it, but it was the correct call. As just a little bit off on that far side was Kevin Munoz. He was taking off after it, but just missed that last back line of defense.
There's I'm going to say an art to ball placement on some of those free kicks where you'll see some players take a cheeky extra yard or two sometimes.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely correct because they're trying to get the gamesmanship going, just exactly like here. You want to add a couple of extra yards because it does make a difference. That's true. Or 5. And if you're trying to lay a ball up for your teammates and you know that you can kick it 65 yards in the air, well, an extra 4 to 5 yards is going to help you out and do exactly that. Here's Alvarez having to chest this one down. Minute and a half into this extra time, into this stoppage. Santa Ana scooting it over on the far side, looking for a couple of Dons. Here's Castillo into the middle, and Arreola is able to head that one away. Palacios up towards Suarez.
What a breakaway.
Suarez now for Palacios. That will not be offside if caught up to. I take that back. I stand corrected. That is an offside flag called. The the Fullerton side is not thrilled with that call, but nonetheless, Santa Ana has to push quickly.
I want some VAR on that call.
Here's Castillo. Ball goes out. Throw-in coming up. The official looking at his wristwatch. Gets final say. He did motion over to the sideline. He put up one finger, so I'm not sure if that's going to be one more chance or one more minute.
I think it's 1 minute till dinner time.
That is, you know what? I'm down with that. I could go for 1 more minute till dinner time. Dinner time sounds fantastic. Santa Ana trying to go to dinner time happy as long as they can get the tying goal here. They find it over towards Castillo. He swings it up. It's in the air. There for Paul Mounter for a moment, but the Dons keep it back. High, left-hand side, goal kick coming up, and presumably that should end the match. Not quite yet. The near sideline, it looks like, will end up having a substitution coming in and out. So they're going to add to that injury stoppage that we saw earlier, which means that they have more than enough time to do so. A couple of guys running in for Fullerton, one of them being Kevin Castro. And David Suarez takes over on the left-hand side of the park for the Hornets. We're 3.5 minutes into stoppage time. So there's at least one more possession in here for either team. Palacios just wants to be rid of this ball. Kicks it up high in the air. Mejia Juarez into contact now with Ivan Torres. Torres, liner. Fullerton takes it back over. Palacios ranging back. Left-hand side now to David Suarez. He's being chased by Munoz. Suarez says, hey, I can find the corner. Let me take it right to there. He gets pushed in the back. That is a throw-in for Santa Ana. Official says, hey, he went to the floor just a little bit too easily for my liking, and Santa Ana will clear it away. 4 minutes into the additional time, and an offsides flag will be up. So Santa Ana is trying to sneak an extra guy towards the back line and get themselves in a good position for a breakout pass, but that should be it for this matchup as soon as this ball is kicked away. Official giving the placement of the ball. I will end up seeing Suarez. Suarez with Palacios. Palacios to his right foot. Palacios looking for a teammate. He's going to find the corner and take it right there. Palacios brings it right to the corner. Possession. Throw in Santa Ana. One more possession for the Dons. They have to get up the park and quickly. The official will end up giving a yellow card to a member of the Hornet bench.
I think that's what might be our Hornets' downfall a little bit in some of these games. Palacios had a good run, but then turned away for it to try to take a decent opportunity, to make it a better opportunity, to try to make it a perfect opportunity. And I would like to see a little bit more of just firing it off and let it rip and, you know, see what happens.
You understand the strategy here for the Hornets as they try and leave this one down the middle of the frame. And this will end up ending this one. You see the strategy there for Fullerton College. What they're trying to do is just make sure they take it to the corner and waste as much clock as possible. But sometimes if you have the chance, go ahead and take it, which is exactly what Ligeti did earlier in this one. Jacob Ligeti with the game winner. The 6'1" freshman out of Torrance ends up winning it with a strike on that far side off of a volley. The assist ends up going to Jack Overton in the 44th minute, just before half. Fullerton College with a 1-0 win. That's going to do it for us here today. 2-4-2 is where Fullerton College will go to. On the other side for Santa Ana, it is now 1-5-2, and they are 0-1 in Orange Empire Conference play. So, for James Spellin and Vito Almador, Joseph Pavlenko, and myself, Ryan Osborne, we thank you for joining us on the weekday kickoff. Don't forget to check with this YouTube page to make sure that you can see all the live sports coming up and when the next weekday kickoff will be. Until then, Fullerton College 1, Santa Ana 0. You've been watching the weekday kickoff here on Hornet Radio.